Welcome back to the podcast. An update for you from Buzzsprout. I use Buzzsprout for 3 of my podcasts, and I use Anchor for the other 3 podcasts. And everyone's like, Anchor, boo. Hey, you know what? If it works, it works. So, get over yourself. So, Buzzsprout is the one that I use, like I said, for 3 of my podcasts. I have the Upcycle Canada podcast, I have Living the Next Chapter, and Living My Side Hustle. These 3 podcasts I have on Buzzsprout. And I went into my stats and into my stuff recently, and I saw an update. Thought I'd share with you. Are you ready? I got some news. Maybe you are aware, maybe you're not. And if you don't use Buzzsprout, maybe go to another episode, because we're going to nerd out on Buzzsprout. So that's what we're talking about today. Thanks. So I jump over to Buzzsprout. I click on my stats. We all love stats, right? Everyone loves stats. Anytime you see the word stats for podcasters, we all kind of get all classy-eyed and there's a little grin on our face, like, yay, I get to see what's going on. And yeah, so I go into my stats and I see that I can click on my last 7 days. I can click on my last 30 days. I can click on my last 90 days. I can click on all time. And then there's this little button that said custom. What? Custom? So yeah, apparently now we have the ability to tailor our history, our downloads, everything based on what we want to search for. This is amazing because now we can hone in on a date range, an event, something, and we can do a comparison between maybe how a podcast did for 1 week compare how a podcast did for another week. Nerding out alert. What? So there's a chance that this is a great opportunity for everybody to get in and take a look at your stats in a new light. So I'm in here right now as I'm recording, and I'm playing around with the buttons. So I can really hone in with my custom buttons, and I can go through and pick a date range. So let's say I want to go, let's hit the today button right in the middle. That's kind of cool. Let's go just beginning of the month to today and update stats. Bam. So now I have just for this illustration, you can't see what I'm doing, but I just have 7 days of information. And now I can see when I scroll down to the bottom, I can see on the left-hand side, my top episodes by all time. I can see my top apps on the right. I can see my podcast predictor, which is telling me great numbers. I love that. And it's exciting to kind of see what I can do. And now I can actually manipulate my stats the way I like. So when I come on to all these podcast guru podcasts about how to podcast, I hear about Libsyn. I hear about this one. I hear about this one. And I don't hear a lot of people talking about my favorite, Buzzsprout. So that's why I'm here. So if you're a Buzzsprout user, I would love to connect with you. There is a great group on Facebook where we can all share Buzzsprout wins and losses and questions and answers. And I love that. I'll put a link to that in the show notes. But as we group together as fellow Buzzsprouters, Buzzsprout item-ish people, whatever. As we group together as Buzzsprouters, I just see there's so much knowledge and shared wisdom on how to use a platform. I really do like the stats that are in Buzzsprout. I love that you can see my locations. It's really, really cool to kind of get a sense of where your listeners are in the world. And just keep in mind, though, I'm going to have an episode out as well on additional RSS feeds where you can host have your podcast listed, not hosted, but listed, and people can then access your podcast. Buzzsprout does a good job giving you access to directories, which is great. So I see, Apple, Spotify, Google, blah, 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 all the way down. Awesome. But there are more that you have to directly upload your RSS feed to on top of what Buzzsprout provides for you. So when you go to your directories tab on Buzzsprout, you'll see directories, and then you'll see RSS Feed. You click on RSS Feed, and that is your address. That is like, I heard another podcaster say, that's like your radio address or radio identifier on your radio on your car or at home. 97.3 FM. That's an address. Your RSS feed is your address or location that everything points to and everything comes from. So copy this little RSS feed. I put it into like a spreadsheet somewhere that I can access, and then I go to these other sites, copy this RSS feed, and paste it into these other sites, and now you'll be listed there as well, in addition to Buzzsprout. So don't think that Buzzsprout is going to do everything for you. Don't think that Anchor is going to do everything for you. Not even Libsyn will do everything for you. They all have their strengths. They all have their weaknesses. Yep. But you can also take control of where you are in the world, and you can put yourself out there. So if you want to know if you're there or not on all these other amazing, great listening apps out there, I use, and again, I'm not being paid, I use Podpage. I'm trying it out for my 6 podcasts. And when you go onto Podpage, you can try the free trial and everything of that. And you can actually go through and with your RSS feed that I talked about, you copy that. You can actually go to all of these other locations and see if you're actually there. And if you're not there, there's a simple little click here and there, and you can connect your podcast to those apps and be heard in more places. So, for example, Afropods, I'll do a podcast on this. Afropods is a place where you can host your RSS feed. You can copy and paste it there, and that's throughout Africa. So that's amazing. You can also have it in India, and I have one now in Egypt. So it's amazing where you can put your information and put your podcast into the ears of listeners around the world. And you're asking me, Dave, why would I do that? And I respond with, why wouldn't you do that? Even if you had 10 new listeners, that's 10 new listeners who wouldn't have heard about you otherwise. So expand your reach. Don't think that any of your hosting sites are going to do everything for you, and just assume that they are, because they might not be. And maybe just check for yourself to see where you are, because you just never know. And there's always a great opportunity to get your amazing podcast out there. You do so much work to get this ready, and it'd be great if you could share it with the world and not just where your hosting site deems is important to share. So if you ever have any questions about your RSS feed, go over to the link in my podcast. I can help you. I keep a spreadsheet myself and kind of gather from all these other experts and all the talk going around. And I just created this list of all the RSS feeds that I've been finding and I've been submitting to. And again, that address you see in your Buzzsprout account, again, click on directories, click on RSS feed, and there's a little address there that says your RSS feed. There's a thing, copy that, little copy button, and now you can take that address out into the world, and this will connect you to other listening apps. It's easy, right? Easy, easy, easy. So these are great updates for Buzzsprout. Again, you can now look at your stats with a new lens, and you can look at it the way you want to. Thank you, Buzzsprout. Keep bringing us more. Bring us more, more, more. And if you have any questions on Buzzsprout as well, I can help you with my 3 there. If you have any questions on Anchor, I have 3 podcasts there. And if you have any questions in general, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to help you. And coming up, guys, I'm really excited. We have guest co-hosts coming to the podcast. Other podcasters who do podcasting and people that are just starting, people that are experts. And we're going to have co-hosting. We're going to rotate people in the chair, have people come through, share their journey. I have one podcaster coming on to do a 4-week series. Excited about that, right? They're not interviews. They're co-hosting. And I think it's going to be fun. So stick around for that. Make sure you hit that follow button on whatever you're listening to this podcast on so that you're alerted to all the new updates. And we will catch you on the next one. So again, Buzzsprout users unite. We are awesome. And so is Buzzsprout. Thank you, everyone. We'll talk soon. Cheers.
Okay, that's a wrap.